Salwa, how Quran answered your questions, or what is your relationship with the creator of the mankind? Where did it start from? Anything that you would like to share from the book?
Well, I'm sure, as you can imagine, I had a lot of questions. Well, there's always questions. But in the beginning, I'm not from any religious background. I just had this sort of longing and hunger to why am I here? All the same questions that you were saying. And I'm very, very fond of nature, and I was very much a stargazer, and I'd always look at the night sky, and I know that sounds a bit sort of, cheesy and cliche, but I would, and I'd think, what is this? Why is this here? It can't be here for nothing. We can't just be here for nothing and then die and that's it. So I started asking questions. I started reading up about different religions, and I read a lot of the Bible. I studied the Bible for a while as well. And then one day I just started reading the Quran out of curiosity. And my concept of this book back then was, this is a book for suicide bombers. Sorry to say, but this is what I knew from the media. I mean, I didn't know any different than that. So when I started reading it, I was actually really, really surprised at all the familiarity. As you say, there's so much common ground. And so that kind of drew me in, and I started reading more. And then once I was introduced to this online study class, which is these guys, Arrahman Arraheem, and it changed everything, because we study every night. Every day we get together and have a question-answer session, and you can literally ask anything. So of course I was asking everything from, my angle was probably a bit different from somebody who would be born and brought up in a Muslim family. So I'm asking questions about my life, about something I read, I don't understand, what's this? And Baba Chaudhry, the teacher, he was able to answer my questions. And I found it very, very logical and practical. And the thing is, my journey started with faith. Like, I took a leap of faith, because whatever I had read and questioned and then understood, if it made sense to me, I accepted it. So once I accepted that, whatever those verses were, then I tried to do it. I tried to implement it in my life. And then only when I implemented it and then I saw the results, that faith turned into belief, because, human beings, we have to see it to believe it. And I'm very stubborn. I'm not easily convinced, honestly. I always think of this example of when your mother gives you advice, and you have faith in your mother. She loves you, she wants to protect you, so she's going to give you good advice, but you don't really understand that advice until you experience it. So she's like, look both ways twice before you cross the road. Twice before you cross the road, in case another car suddenly comes out of nowhere. But until you're crossing the road, and that happens, and you remember the advice, and you look again, and there's a car, and that advice saved you, then that's it, solid belief. You don't have any doubt anymore. And this has been my journey. And there was one verse in the beginning from the Quran, chapter 50, verse 16, where Allah is talking directly. He says, "Indeed, it was we who created mankind." So I thought, well, that can be me. I'm English, I'm not a Muslim yet. I'm mankind. And we know what suggestions your soul makes to you. So he knows my thoughts. He reads my mind. Because we are nearer to him than his jugular vein. So any sort of idea I did have about a creator or God, stargazing and all that, it moved from up there to here, straight away. And it became suddenly a very, very personal and direct thing. And that just completely blew me away and just dismantled my concept of God altogether. And it's just ongoing from there, really.
So, after that, when the concept which was up there, whether you're a Hindu or a Sikh or a Muslim or a Christian, we all look up in the sky. Because of the verse of Quran that came that close to you, that all this time it was that close to me. And it must have made sense because it happened to me as well. I felt the same way. Because there was always something in there who used to recognize the truth, but it was kind of suppressed by my own self. So, after that, when you lived with it, whatever you had asked, because some questions before we start the journey, we ask before we start the map. So did you find those answers verifying the journey?
Yeah, very, very much so.
So it wasn't a fantasy?
No.
It wasn't a story?
Well, like I say, when you see it, you believe it. When you see it working on ground reality, and I've witnessed a lot. Stuff within my own self, like my own weaknesses, and it's all there in the book. And when you're reading it, it's like someone's written a book about you. It's just freaky, and then obviously you witness it in other people. You see things happening around you, and you're like, oh, that's an ayat. The word translated as verse in the Quran is ayat. But its literal meaning is actually also sign. So, signs. So, I see it like this, when you're driving somewhere, like today we got a bit lost. Because the sat-nav, we couldn't put your address in it for some reason. But if we had like the best sat-nav in the world, and we could put your address or we're following the signs, right? They're directing us. So, this is like... for me, it's a user manual for life. So it's got all the directions and all the signs and all the consequences. It tells you if you go this way, that'll happen. If you go that way, dead end. Make a U-turn, It's a user manual for life.
Thank you, Salwa. Farhan.